How many of you grew up in a Christian environment? Well, I just want you to raise your hand if you grew up, if you have the privilege of growing up as a child, growing up in a Christian environment. And when I say Christian environment, I don't necessarily say Seventh-day Adventist church, just in a Christian environment, not on a nominal one, just on a one that was practicing, on a practicing Christian environment. Raise your hand. I just want to see how many of you have been blessed to have a Christian environment. Okay, thank you. Now, growing up into a Christian environment as children, what do you think that is, as child, again, and as children, what is our reaction to the environment in which we grow? You think that all kids are so excited being part of that as they grow older? Do you think that everybody is so excited about those rules and those practices of those Christian families? Well, unfortunately, not everybody is so happy. Actually, there are three ways how people respond, and I'm just talking now about those who grew up in those who are growing up in Christian environments. There are three major reactions, how people react when they are exposed to that type of experience. Number one, which is the most unfortunate one, and many are taking this way, is to run away. When they are old enough, when they escape from that environment, they just run away. Of course, there are some differences. There are some Christian environments that are more restrictive. There are some who are more legalistic. But generally speaking, this is our tendency. Most of them just want to run away. Another group, those who just stay there because they don't want to upset others, they don't want to get in trouble, but not because they are excited about what they do. And then there is a third class of people, but is very, very small, those who are excited that place where they are. Let me share you my experience. I grew up in an Adventist environment. My parents are Seventh-day Adventists. My grandparents are Seventh-day Adventists on both sides. Even my great-grandparents are. So I was like about third or even fourth generation of Seventh-day Adventists. And some of you may say, wow, that is a tremendous blessing. And I would say, yes, it is a blessing. If you are born and you grew up in such a Christian environment and Christian family, it is a blessing because you are protected in many ways from many dangers that are in this world. You may not understand when you are growing up, when you are just a child. You may not understand those benefits, but later on you will understand them. But as I was growing up, well, which do you think, in which those three classes do you think that I was falling in? Run away, staying there, or just being excited and happy with? I'm just sharing with you that I am also a human being, and I am not an angel. I am not doing everything perfect. I didn't run away from my family. No, I was quite faithful, and but I was frustrated many times. I was frustrated because my family didn't allow me to do certain things. For example, on a Sabbath day, all my friends are playing on the street. They were having fun outside, and well, I was just looking through the windows, and I would say, wow, they have lots of fun there, and I am not allowed to do that. Do you think that I was happy about that? I wasn't happy. Yeah, I was not happy. All of my friends, they were watching all kinds of movies. And when I went to school, they were sharing about those movies that they were watching. I didn't watch those movies. We didn't even have a TV set in our house. I didn't know what they were talking about. And again, I felt like I'm a stranger right there. I cannot be part of the group discussion. I cannot. And they were having a lot of other experiences that I didn't have. They were sharing their practices. Sometimes they were smoking and drinking, and they were going to different parties. And I was thinking, wow, I cannot go there. I cannot be with them. I was looking that they have lots of fun and they have freedom to do whatever they want, and I don't. And as a result, well, I just wanted to be obedient to my parents. I didn't want to disappoint them. I didn't want to disappoint my church family. I was coming to church every Saturday. I was part of the choir. I was part of the group activities. But I always thought that those people who are not part of that system, they had more freedom. And they enjoy their lives more than I do. This is what I thought. This is what I thought. I don't think that I was right as I am looking back when I see what happened to all of those friends who had no boundaries, who can do everything they wanted. They didn't end up in a good place anyway. Most of them are already dead. And some of them ended up in prison, and some of them uneducated, some of them with horrible family stories and so on. But these are some typical reactions how people respond when they grow up into a certain environment. And now we're gonna open our Bibles to the same passage that Nathan read, and we're gonna look on one of the parables that Jesus shared with his disciples. And why I'm sharing this parable with you? Because this is where we are in our study of the book of Luke. This is what we do here at High Point. We study the Bible. This is our only textbook. And for the year of 2024, again, the Bible will be our textbook. Can we say amen to that? We don't study anything else besides this, although we may refer to other writings, but to us, this is the Word of God, and we just want to emphasize us and to stay focused on this book. And as I am teaching my Bible students, what is the purpose of this book? Bible students, what is the purpose of the Bible? To reveal God's character, to tell us about who God is and how is He. Well, we are trapped into this world and we need to know more about God. And God has given, by inspiration, given this book to us. We have access to this book and we learn more about God. Let me give you a background before we get into today's story, why Jesus is using this parable. Because it's during the time when most of those religious leaders had a strange belief, I would say, that, and I'm just quoting one of their beliefs, that heavens rejoices when sinners perish. What do you think about that? Is that a good thought? It's heavens rejoices when sinners are perishing. When Jesus came here, what did He do? He was just spending time with the sinners. He was welcoming the sinners. don't misunderstand me. He was not encouraging the sinners to do what they were doing, but he was welcoming them. He was eating with them. He was sitting at the table with them, with tax collectors and with all kinds of sinners. And the religious leaders were so upset with Jesus, say, this man is sitting and eating and welcoming sinners. He cannot be the Messiah. Because according to their theology, heavens and God is rejoicing when sinners are perishing, not when sinners are embraced and saved. But what was the purpose of Jesus' coming here? Jesus said later on, I think in chapter 19, that I have come to do what? To seek and to save whom? The lost. And now Jesus is delivering a set of 3 parables to teach those religious leaders, yes, this is my purpose. I have come to seek and to save the sinners, to save those who are lost. And I am teaching you, in other words, Jesus saying, I am teaching you that heaven is not rejoicing when sinners are perishing, but exactly the opposite. Heavens are rejoicing when sinners believe in God, when sinners repent. And Jesus is delivering 3 stories. The first one, we already talked about the first ones, is the parable of the lost sheep. When Jesus says that the shepherd is so excited when he finds that sheep that was lost. He is not chastising that sheep. He is not killing that sheep. He is not beating the sheep. He is not punishing that sheep in any ways. He is just carrying the lost sheep in his arms. And when he brings it back home, he invites all of his friends and his neighbors and say with them, rejoice because I have found this sheep, the one that was lost. And this is the type of God that we serve. And the same in the second parable, when the lady finds the lost coin, the one that has so much value for her. It was kind of a tradition right there. That coin was not just a simple coin. I think that coin had an emotional significance, was a part of the dowry when she received, when she got married. And when finally she found that lost coin there, she invited all of her neighbors and all her friends and said, rejoice with me because I have found this coin that was lost. And now we are moving to the third story, which is probably one of the most beautiful parables that Jesus ever shared. And by the way, this parable is recorded only in the book of Luke, the parable of the lost son. Yeah. So there are 3 parables, the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. The subtitle of this parable is misleading us a little bit because it says that the parable of the prodigal son, singular. I think that it should be the parable of the prodigal sons, because in some ways, both of those sons that are presented in this parable were lost. The older one and the younger one, both of these sons are lost. The difference is that one was lost inside of the house, while the other one was lost outside of the house. I wish that there would have been a third place here, a third son here, that the one who is just happy and excited about the Father's house. Probably Jesus knew that we all are human beings, and just a few of those are who are in that group of people. But as I shared before, most of us as human beings, we have one of those 2 reactions. Either we just stay there and be obedient, we don't want to disappoint anybody, but we are not so excited on those times. And the other group of people are those who are just running away. So Jesus is addressing this to his disciples and to the religious leaders of that time. And who do you think that matches those who are the son that is lost outside? Was in reference to whom? It was in reference to all of those sinners, to the tax collectors, to the prostitutes, to the sinners at large, right there, who are in the other group of those who are lost inside of the house, or represented by the older brother, or those Pharisees, those religious leaders, those scribes. And now Jesus is delivering this parable. Have your Bibles open, the book of Luke again, because we are looking at some passages right there. Book of Luke, chapter 15, verses 11, where Jesus says that, yes, a man had 2 sons. Okay? There are 3 figures here, 2 sons and a father. Guess who is the hero of this parable? The hero of this parable is not the prodigal son or the son who ran away. The hero of this parable is the father. We are going to talk more about this parable. Today I'm just introducing to you this parable because it's so deep and it has so much meaning into it, so much truth inside of it that we don't want to miss anything. But now in this parable, you know the story that this younger son came to his father and said, "Father, please give me my share." The father divided the share, gave to him, and then he ran away, and he spent all of his money, all of his goods in a faraway country, and then he found himself naked, empty, having nothing, and then she begged for a job, feeding the pigs, and I am so glad that the story does not finish there. He came to his mind, and he had a turn into his life. We'll talk about this later on. But for now on, we just want to focus on some of the mistakes that those who ran away from their father's house, from a good Christian environment, from a godly place. 3 mistakes that the prodigal son did. Are you with me? This is what we are going to study today, about those 3 mistakes. Because why are we studying those? Because in some ways, we are running away. We are running away from God in one way or another. Now, let's look at the first mistake. The first mistake that the prodigal son did, here's this. He was burning all the bridges behind him. He was burning all the bridges and leaving everyone behind. This is what this younger son did. Look what he said. He came to his father and he said, "Give me my share." What about that request? How about that request? It may not sound so bad to us, but in that culture, yes, it was a very disrespectful request. According to the Mosaic laws, the children are entitled to get the inheritance from the father when the father dies. Unless the father, for whatever reasons, he would decide to give them before his death. But according to the laws of that land, the children would receive the inheritance from their father when the father dies, not prior to that. It was a very disrespectful way, very disrespectful for this guy to ask for his inheritance. Also, keep this in mind that according to the Mosaic laws, the older son is the one who gets the inheritance first, and normally he would get a double portion of the inheritance, and the rest will be divided among the rest of the children. In this case, in this parable, there are only 2 sons, the older and the younger. And it's not the older who comes and ask this, who would have more rights to do this, although it was not commonly done and was not respectful to do that. But now the younger one comes and asks the father to give his share. Give me my share. Well, he was just disobeying, breaking all of those bridges behind. In other words, if knowing that the inheritance will be given or divided when the parent died, in other words, this request of the younger son would sound like, well, Father, I wish you would be dead by now. I've been waiting for so long for you to die that I may get the inheritance, and since you are not dying, please give it to me now. I wish you to be dead. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to deal with you. I'm not happy with everything that I experience here in this house. Just give me what it's my portion, and then I will just run away from here. I don't want to have anything to do with my household. I don't want to do anything with you. And this was his plan, just to leave everyone behind, burning and destroying all the bridges behind. It reminds me about my cousin. Well, he grew up quite in a strict environment, but godly environment, and his parents just wanted to, guide him to be a good guy and to do good things, but he was sick and tired of doing all of this. And I remember him. He was a couple years younger than me, and I remember him when he was enrolled into the military service. During that communism time, every boy was required to be in the military. It was not a choice. Every single one, all boys at the age of 18, joined the military for 18 months. And being in the military in the communist country was not fun at all. It was really harsh. It's like you are in a prison right there, especially during the first few months when you are just a freshman in that environment. They will ask you to do all kinds of crazy stuff, and you are just a slave right there. And the way they treat you, the way that they respect you is horrible. And when my cousin was the time to be enrolled there, he was so upset with his family, and he said, I am so glad that I joined the military. I don't want to hear anything back from my family. I just want to leave this family behind, and I'm going to just be happy there. And all the older ones told him, you don't know what you are talking about, because you will want to come back home. No, he said, I am sick and tired of my house. I don't want to come back here. I'm going to just enjoy the military service, and I stay there for my entire life if possible. After a month, I visited him. But before that, I asked him, well, I just want you to write these words down, because I think you will change your mind. And I asked him to write those down. I am glad to be in the military service. I don't want to come back home. And we just saved that piece of paper. After a month, I visited him. We are not, during the first month or so, you are not allowed to have visitors. I visited him, and he was crying, and he said, I wish I would be back home. This environment is so hard for me. I wish I would be back home. But this is what many times we do. We the runners, we are running away. We just don't want to hear anything behind that. I just want to live. I am sick and tired of all of these rules. I am sick and tired that I cannot watch TV, I cannot play video games, I cannot use drugs, I cannot have fun with my friends, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. I cannot socialize like the others. I always thought that the others have lots of fun and I don't. So this guy was just interested to just go out with no purpose, no intention for him to come back home. This is just a one-way ticket. Give me my share and I will. And it looks like he was interested not in the father's lands and cattle. Mostly this is what people owned during those times, or not so much with cash and monetary values. They owned land and castle, and as we read right there, that not long after many days, took him a few days to convert all of those goods into some cash. This is what he was interested. This younger guy, he was not interested in having any responsibilities to take care of the land, any responsibilities to take care of the sheep and the goats and the cattle and the cows and whatever the father had. He was just selling those for whatever that he can make some cash, some money. Actually, the Greek word that is used there refers to this monetary value, to the cash value. He just want to have his packets with money and just run away. So first mistake that he did, he was just breaking those bridges behind him. He was disconnecting him from the past, which, guys, I want to tell you, especially the younger ones, this is a big mistake. Well, always leave room to come back to that place. Even if you want to experience something else, don't ever think that, well, I never want to do with my family again. I don't want to do anything with them. Don't break all the bridges. Don't burn all the bridges behind you. Let's move on. The second mistake that this son did. Because he was pursuing freedom, the freedom that he had in his mind, he was pursuing freedom with whom? With people who are already enslaved. He's pursuing freedom with other people who are like him. He went into a faraway country. Well, the word far away means that he just didn't want to be outside of the Judea, of the land and the place of his family. He didn't want to do anything with his father's religion, with anything with his father's heritage and practices. He went into a far away place. Most likely, this faraway place is a pagan place. A place that, well, has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with the right worshiping. He went into a faraway place. And right there, what did he do? He just spent all of his money with other people. He was engaged in all kinds of fun things. This is what we think. This is what he thought that was fun. With people who are just taking advantage of him. This is what those people are doing because they are already enslaved. And when they smell that this guy has some money, he said, yes, you are our friend. Just come, let's have fun together. And he probably went from party to party, from immorality to immorality, from all kinds of practices. And everybody was welcoming him. Why? Because they loved him? No, because he had some money. Yeah, and he, they could take advantage of him. They could, they could benefit, which is even true today. If you run away from God, and if you are spending your life and your time and your resources with people who are also running away from God, who are also enslaved in one way or another, they don't care about you. They care about what you have. And if there is no benefit from you, they are gone. And this is what happens here. This guy is just left alone. Left alone. When all of his possessions are gone, where are the friends? Where are his friends? No one is there. Because you have no value. Why would we be friends with you? Because you don't have money. And this is a good principle about money, folks. And listen carefully to what I am saying here. If you cannot enjoy what money cannot buy, you cannot enjoy what you can buy with money. If you cannot enjoy those things that you cannot buy with money, you cannot also enjoy what you can buy with money. And let me give you an example. You cannot buy with money hope, love, forgiveness, peace of mind, clear conscience. You cannot buy those things with money. And if you cannot enjoy those things that you cannot buy with money, regardless how much you can buy with money, you will not enjoy anything. You cannot enjoy what you can buy with money if you cannot enjoy what you cannot buy with money. So this guy spent all of his possessions with those friends, and then he found himself alone, broke. Now, this was the second mistake. He got into those entourages. He got into those relationships with people who are already enslaved, and this is what the running away people do. They get into this situation. The friends that they find are exactly the type of friends that are just running away from God. Okay, and now listen to what happened to him next. I thought that when he found himself naked and no friends and nobody gave him anything, he would go back home. But no, he went just doing another big mistake. Mistake number 3. He was just being stubborn in his running away. I'm not gonna come back to my father's house in any way. I will beg for a job. He said that he hired himself. He went to a place when the famine came. Well, he didn't have anything to eat. Nobody gave him anything. He knocked from door to door. Well, please hire me. And everybody said, we don't need you. We don't need you. And finally, probably the word hired himself means that he insisted a lot. He begged that he will be hired. Probably one of the guys say, okay, I'm just gonna let you go into my pig's farm and feed the pigs. Do you see how far he went? This is another indication that he left the territory of Judea, because in Judea there are no pig farms. There are not people who are raising pigs in Judea, because they are thinking, which we think even today, that pigs is an unclean animal. And for sure this place was a pagan place or a faraway place that had nothing to do with the religion of his fathers. And now, taking care of pigs is another step down. Do you see? When you run away from God, you just go deep and deeper and deeper, and actually you don't stop until you you just reach the bottom of the hole. This is what Satan does to us. He's tempting us that freedom outside of God, that freedom is there, but the reality is that running away from God, freedom is just an illusion. You don't experience freedom when you are running away from God. It takes you, it degrades you, it puts you on the bottom of the pit right there. And he went just taking care of those pigs, and look right there at the word that no one was giving him anything to eat. No one. Well, I'm so shocked to hear that. Where are the friends? Where are his friends that he had fun with? No, they disappeared. No one gave him, and he wished to eat something that the pigs are eating, and he couldn't get those whatever they were eating there. You see how unclean he became now, being just far away from his, on a faraway land, on a pagan land, taking care of pigs and not even able to eat the food of those pigs. Well, folks, I think that it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson for us today. Well, if you are thinking of running away from God, I don't think that is a good choice. Mistake after mistake. When you disconnect yourself from God, you will go from mistake to mistake to mistake until you lose everything. You lose even the meaning of your life. You are worth of nothing. What did the father do? Well, the father was waiting for his son to come. We'll learn more about what happened next in this story. So don't read ahead, because next time we're gonna see what happens to this guy who is almost dying right there in the pig's farm with even no food. Let's see, did he go even farther into his stubbornness? Now he was pretty stubborn. He said, I'm not gonna come home. I just burned all the bridges. There is no way for me to come home. I'm gonna just try myself, do the best, survive here, even with these pigs here. I'm living among the pigs and I'm gonna just survive here. Well, if you are curious to know what happened to this guy, you know what you need to do? Just come here next Sabbath. Actually, not next Sabbath. I'm not gonna preach next Sabbath. We'll have the evangelist preaching for us next Sabbath. But, well, look in the bulletin. Next time when I'm preaching here, I will move on with this story, because it is amazing to see what happens to this guy. Let me just give you a snapshot of that. Well, this guy changed his mind. And not that he changed his mind, but also when he came home, the father embraced him. The father did not punish him. The father did not chastise him. The father did not disown him. Actually, this what was supposed to happen with this son who did this thing to the father. He was supposed to be disowned. But the father still said, I am so glad that this son of mine, that my son, came back. I don't know where you are right now, my friend. You may be in the position of a father. One of your loved ones is running away. Maybe you are just staying on the side of the road and looking at your loved ones as they are departing from you, departing from their God, and doing mistake after mistake. But the father was always there, hoping that his son will come back home. And this is all what you can do as parent, or as brother or sister. Just hope that one day, excuse me, those who are running away will come back home. Because the father is a loving father. Actually, he is the hero of this parable. And this father is no one else than a representation of our God, who is such a loving God, a love full of grace, ready to forgive us, ready to accept us just as we are. He's waiting for you and for me to come home. And I hope that your decision for this 2024, which will to come back home, even if you broke the bridges behind you, come back to your God and serve Him, because He loves you. If this is your desire, join with us